Hi, and welcome to this new video. In the previous video, we saw how the Ollama dependency works, which allowed us to use a model from Ollama. Now we're going to see how the output parser dependency works. But before we go any further, we'll first need to understand the context a bit. If we run the current workflow, it will actually give us a summary of this portion of text, as you can see here at the bottom. Now, let's say that in addition to the summary, I'd like to have the main topic. So if I enter the prompt, give me the main topic and a summary of the following text. And I run the workflow. After a few seconds, we get the response from our agent. And we see that it tries to give us the main topic and then the summary. But here's the problem. I'd like to have an object that has a topic attribute and also a summary attribute containing the summary. That's where the output parser comes in. It allows us to define the exact format the agent must follow when returning the result. To add one, click the plus button here. This will open a panel that takes you directly to the section containing the output parsers. Or, if you want to find it yourself, you can go to AI and then to Output Parser. We'll use the Structured Output Parser, and I'll link it to my basic LLM agent as a dependency. Then I double-click on it, and we can see that it allows us, using the JSON output example attribute, to provide a JSON example, and the agent will actually try to follow the structure of that JSON. So I can specify that I want a JSON with a topic attribute, which will be a string. I can leave it blank, provide a sample text, or, as I usually prefer, just write string. Next, the summary, which will also be a string. I run my workflow again. The agent will take the structure we provided into account and return a result. You can see it here. It returns an object with the topic attribute and the summary attribute. And here's the summary. But I'd like to display this object in a much more practical way. Right now, it's just an object parsed into text. To do that, we'll use a different node, not the display markdown node, since that one only lets us display plain text. So let's go to in-page action, display content, and then display object. The display object node is more or less like display markdown, but the difference is that it actually lets us display the value of an object, a JSON. So now we'll need to give the pop-up a title. I'll call it LLM response, and I'll run the script. With display object, there's no need to specify which object it should return. It will automatically try to display the element it receives as input, the element it receives from the previous node, since we know that all nodes return either a list of objects or a single object. So all it asks for is just the title it will display in the header. And there, we see that we have our response with the reply sent back by the LLM. But again, this isn't exactly what we want because we want an object, this specific object. But here we still have a JSON object in text form, so we'll need to parse it. So I'm going to move my display object node back slightly. And between my basic LLM chain and it, I'm going to add a new node. It's simply called edit field. This is the node that allows us to modify the attributes of other objects. So if I double-click on the edit field, I'll simply drag this attribute and drop it there. What we're doing here is creating a new object that will use the response values from the previous node. The contents of response will be placed in a new attribute, which we can call parsed. And now we're performing a string-to-object transformation. So technically, parsed will no longer have text as its value, but rather an object derived from the parsing of the text present in response. When we run this node, we automatically get an object in the pop-up with a parsed attribute, which in turn contains an object. We can also see it if we come here. We have parsed, we have topic, and we have summary. Okay, that's all for this video. In the next video, we'll see how to use this workflow from the context menu.